What's up, guys and gals? My name is Chris Tondevold, and this is Ambition Radio. This is a podcast where we interview cool people doing cool stuff and try and find out what makes them tick, what keeps them motivated, and how they balance out their career, their family, all that good stuff with whatever passion they're pursuing. So this is the first episode, so thank you for joining us. Appreciate it. On this episode, we have Dan Thompson from the band My Heart, My Anchor. Dan is actually hanging up this name. Not sure what he's going to be doing next, but he is currently doing his final tour, so his farewell tour this month. The next show that he's got going on is going to be October 19th at Mad Moon Cafe down in California, Maryland. If you're from that area, definitely check it out. I'm really excited. I'm going to be there. It should be a great show. That show is at 7 o'clock. Definitely check that out. You can also find them at Spotify and Bandcamp. It's myheartmyanchor.bandcamp.com. So check that out. Hopefully you enjoy the show. It'll be all over iTunes. It'll be on Google Play. So put in a review. Let me know what you think. Feel free to message me on Facebook at Ambition Radio. If I decide to use the Twitter, it'll be ambition_radio right there. Feel free to email me, ambitionradiopodcast@gmail.com. Any ideas for the show, anybody that you want me to interview, definitely send that there. Thank you, and hopefully you like it. Enjoy. How was that Battle of the Band stuff?
Okay. The Battle of the Bands is really cool, actually. I didn't expect much from it. Because number one, I'm not from Vienna, Virginia, and the thought of like selling pre-sale tickets to a show that's like an hour and a half away just wasn't happening with me, so I didn't do it.
That was at Jam and Java, right?
Yeah, which is a cool venue. Like I've seen a lot of cool shows there, but I just wasn't about selling the pre-sale tickets. Like I was gonna promote the show and tell people about it, but I'm not gonna sell tickets.
Pretty sure you're the only one.
Yeah. Well, apparently not, because like all the other bands like sold a crap ton of tickets. I ended up selling like 2 to some people that I knew that were in Virginia.
And me, then, right?
Yeah, and then one to my girlfriend.
Yeah.
So like someone actually didn't sell any, so I had like 3 or 4 tickets sold, which wasn't completely embarrassing. I don't know. But the show was really cool. The sound people were really nice. The owner was super nice. I didn't win, obviously, because I feel like if you go in as an acoustic act for a Battle of the Bands, you're not going to win. Most likely, the band that sounds the most like country will win, and they did win.
Really?
So, yeah. But they were tight, though. They were like very like well structured and well put together. Sounded like a country artist, and they won that round of the Battle of the Bands, which was cool for them. I met a lot of connections for like DC shows and whatnot, and like met some cool people from Vienna, and Jam and Java said they'd have me back, so like I didn't really lose anything. I'd say I gained some stuff from it, which is the whole intention of getting into the Battle of the Bands.
Have you played DC before?
I have played DC9. I opened for Have Mercy and A Will Away a long time ago at DC9. That was really cool.
I forgot about that show.
That was like just like a random last minute thing. DC9 wasn't promoting the show really, and I'm friends with both those bands, so it was like really pissing me off that like a bigger venue like that around DC like was not promoting. It's not big.
It's pretty much as the size of this studio.
Yeah, but like if my friends are playing a show and you're not promoting the show, like that kind of makes me angry. Like they didn't have a flyer, like weren't promoting the page on like Facebook. Yeah, they had nothing. So like I went out of my way to make a flyer for the show and like started promoting it. And then Brian was like, "Do you just want to open the show?" And I was like, "Yeah." Like why wouldn't I want to do that? And so he's like, "Okay, I'll see if I can get you on it." And like DC9 just like wasn't responding for like the longest time, which was not having it. And I think like the day before they were like, "Oh yeah, if the guy wants to play it, he can go ahead and play it or whatever." So like I hopped on. It was a really cool turnout. DC's cool. That was the only time in this band that I've played DC. I'm pretty sure.
And that's actually probably my favorite venue in DC right now.
Yeah, DC9's awesome.
The sound is always amazing. The room, it's a little awkward because you're just in the corner. Like, the band's just in the corner.
Yeah.
And then the bar is right behind there. So that's fine, but...
It's tough to maneuver around in that small space. It's very weird.
I saw Dillinger Escape Plan there.
That's cool.
Which was insane.
I imagine that's, like, very Yeah, because it's a very small spot, so that would be like nuts.
Yeah, the guitarist, I don't remember his name, but they had stacks right next to the stage, and then he jumped onto the speakers, started playing, and then jumped right into the crowd.
Yeah.
Right in front of me, so I have a recording of it somewhere, and it's a nuts. And seeing them in that such small space, and then I saw them, I think the following week at Soundstage.
Mm-hmm. It's completely different.
It was ridiculous.
Yeah, it's weird. There are a lot of other cool venues that are around in DC now. There's this like venue called Songbird.
Yeah.
That I've seen like a lot of cool shows going on at. I haven't been there yet, but I've heard good things about it.
It's in Adams Morgan. It's a half record coffee shop, and then what do they have? So they have like a recording, like a record listening booth area that you could spin records, listen to those, check those out. They'll have different listening parties there, which is cool. I think they had like a Wu-Tang one recently.
That's cool.
And then they have a performance space downstairs, which is teeny tiny. It's probably the same size as DC9.
Mm-hmm.
But it's laid out way differently, and the layout kind of sucks.
Yeah.
I saw... What did I see? Oh, who did I see? What was that band? They're really good.
That's good.
Seen them a bunch of times.
That's good.
I just cannot think of that band. Oh, Bent Knee. That's who I saw. Jesus. They're probably one of the best new bands that I've seen in a long, long time. But that place is cool. They had a festival in the summer there, I think. And it's really weird to have a festival in such a small space because they had like 15 bands playing. I don't understand it.
I remember back in the day, like, Mike, I don't know if you ever did any of these shows. Maybe you were, like, too smart to do these. But, like, when they'd have, like, the circuit of, like, venues in D.C. where you, like, had to sell a certain amount of tickets. And then, like, depending on how many tickets you sold, you either play, like, Rock and Roll Hotel, DC9, or 930 Club. Do you remember that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Dude, I played one of those. That was stupid. I wish I never did it.
What band were you in when you did that?
I was in a pop punk band called The Varsity Letter.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Was that your first one?
No, it wasn't my first band. My first band was a metal band called Our Last Stand, and we were god awful. That was the worst thing I think I've ever been a part of, besides Velo Vela with that hair and those jeans. Yeah, you forgot about that, didn't you, Chris?
I did.
It's probably
I did
for better,
forget
man.
about that.
That was awful.
Because
Mike,
you've been
you remember those
playing.
days? Oh,
you've been playing music for how long?
Jeez, since I was 19 or 20, is when I started playing in bands in Maryland. So the last like 8 years, I've been playing.
Really?
Yeah.
I thought it was longer than that.
No. I went to shows and whatnot, and went to shows at like my brother's place and like some shows in like Towson and DC and whatnot. But I wasn't actually playing in any bands or anything like that. I was that friend that had friends that were in bands, and I would try and like manage them or whatever, even though I had no fucking idea what I was doing, because that's what your friends did when you were younger, like just stupid shit, like try and manage your friends' bands when you know nothing about it. What the fuck ever. Well, I was doing that, and then like I just got involved with a band because like I guess they kicked out their bassist and they needed somebody. And I was like, I can play bass.
Right, because you weren't playing in high school, right?
No, I wasn't playing in high school. I was a fucking loser in high school, man. I didn't do shit. I didn't talk to anybody until like junior year. Did not talk to anyone.
Is that when I met you?
I think so, because you were a senior when I was a junior. I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure. Yeah.
I thought I've known you for longer than that, but either way, it's been 15 years, I think. Right?
Yeah, I remember like I met you and when I was in high school, and I was doing shows through like Fred Heather. And then you started doing shows in like Leonardtown at like Room with the Brew, and Good Samaritan Church, and I started doing shows through you because I learned better than to do Park Rock Fest with Fred Heather and Feedback Fred.
I mean, I'm happy that it's still a thing. I'm surprised.
He's still doing things?
Yeah. He's doing stuff at so they opened up a new place down in Callaway, which is a 5 South event center.
Mm-hmm.
They just had Tantric play, and and then they had someone else play recently. I
I don't remember who it was, but I almost thought about going.
Okay. You poor soul.
Yeah. But you remember the Crystal Room down there?
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Okay.
So they made that banquet area into an actual like full event center. So they have like shop days for all the ladies, and then they have a bunch of different stuff that goes in there. But their main thing is music. Mm-hmm. So, and they're bringing, a lot of the older bands from the 90s, the one-hit wonders. It was Trapped they had.
Oh, really?
So, yeah, they had Headstrong.
Yo, that's big for Fred Heather, dude.
Well, so it's not Fred Heather that's doing it. But
is it his son?
No. So, you remember Travers Gillingham, I think his last name is.
The name sounds very familiar.
I don't remember the band that he was in, but he was also... I think he plays now with Shallow Deep. Anyway.
They're still a band too?
Yeah. Yeah,
this is crazy.
Yeah. So it's an interesting thing down there because you have like all the cover bands that are down there, right? Mm-hmm. And then you have all the bands all your old original bands that kind of lingered. So it's all the same people playing pretty much all their own original stuff here and there.
Yeah.
So I think Steve from Shallow Deep plays covers as Run Catch Rain, maybe.
It's good money in covers from what I hear. Because Mike Miller wanted me to do acoustic covers with them at weddings and bars and stuff, which I was totally down for. That's an easy thing you can do to make money, which I'm totally down for, but it just didn't ever get started, really.
Yeah. It's weird. I mean, covers, especially in our area, is the only way to actually make money if you want to play music.
Oh, I totally believe that.
So, and it stinks for the longest time that you didn't really have original outlet. So I kind of feel bad for not being able to keep up with the shows that I was doing. Just because I felt as soon as I pretty much left it, I mean, there was only PGMA.
Yeah.
There, and he's doing some stuff at 5 South every once in a while. I think he's actually picking it up. So I applaud the fact that he's continuing providing, an outlet for some of these guys. The only unfortunate thing that I'm seeing is that it's the same group of people.
Yes, because we don't. Well, I can't say we don't because I don't live down here anymore. But the bands that were here, there was a pretty good amount of bands that would circulate through Memories in My Brother's Place and Hunter's House in Huntingtown. He used to do house shows that.
Oh yeah, Tiger. Was it Tiger Scout that played that?
I don't know if Tiger Scout played Hunter's House, but that was TJ in Calvert. Tiger Scout played his house a bunch of times.
Yeah. And then Joe Schlabotnik.
Yeah.
And
there was a good group of bands that were just frequently playing around and were.
Yeah, because it was weird.
Popular.
You had all the Calvert bands, you had the Charles County bands, and then you had the St. Mary's County bands, and everybody was kind of isolated a little bit.
Yeah.
I remember trying to bring some of those guys together. So I had Joe. Who did I have play a memory show? I had Joe Schlabotnik open, I think. Tiger Scout played because Colin, the drummer, he wanted to play on the floor. So that's the only reason why I remember that.
They always do that. Even when I had him play at my brother's place, they didn't use the stage. They wanted to use the floor, which was the coolest thing I'd seen at the time. Because I loved Tiger Scout. I thought they were sick.
And then Shot Hard Around the World, I think, played that one, if I remember right. But yeah, I was able to develop a little bit of a relationship with most of the bands in the area, at least. But I don't think I ever really did much in Charles County that much. Because I think I only did 2 My Brother's Place shows there.
I feel when you were doing shows in Southern Maryland and even a little bit in Waldorf, La Plata area, you kind of helped build the scene more than what it had been because it had been dying down a lot. I feel when we lost, well, not even when we lost My Brother's Place, way before that, the scene was dying down. My Brother's Place was the place you would go for any show in Waldorf, within Well,
I saw Kevin Devine there
years
it's weird.
Ago. We had really good bands play there.
Yeah. So I saw him. That was the first time that I saw him play at all. And that was my buddy Dale that put on that show. So, I mean, it had, like, people and good musicians that would play there. I just think that it was definitely mismanaged. And it's
for sure.
It's kind of disappointing that there's nothing to fill that gap.
Yeah, like Memories is like I've never liked Memories. Like I've never
That place got shut down.
Yeah, I heard. I thought that was great. I never enjoyed playing Memories. Like I would do it if like a friend was throwing a show that really like needed someone to play, or like they asked me like for the Like You to Me like final show. Like I was there for that. Or if like Count Your Blessings randomly got back together for like a holiday show, like well I know people are gonna be there for Count Your Blessings because like that's what they do. So like I'll come down and play that. That's worth the time. But like when you have like what the heck is that band that like played there every freaking weekend? Mike Garrow was in it. Do you remember?
Who else was in it?
Dude, I don't even know. I just remember Mike Garrow.
I don't know who that is.
It was like it's like they were trying to be Icy Stars like really heavily, and like
I don't even know what that band is.
You're better off. They were just really trying to be like just like the band that was like trendy at the time, but they would play like Memories all the time, but like you can only play a place so much in like such a little time frame that like people stop thinking it's interesting.
Yeah,
like,
and I think that's one of the things that kind of is a detriment to a lot of the bands that are in the area is they stay home so often. They don't try and go out, and then a lot of them will convert. And I'm seeing this a lot is they convert more to covers because they don't want to put the effort to get their music out in different places.
Yeah.
So, which is a problem, but they also don't. So you don't want to oversaturate your market, right? That's why what I was trying to do when I was doing shows is find a Charles County venue, a Calvert County venue, and a St. Mary's County venue, and rotate them monthly. That way you can kind of bring in all three counties all at once. Mm-hmm. So that was kind of the idea that I had, and eventually money's a thing, working's a thing, people not showing up for shows that I kind of like but don't really care about anymore.
And then you like pay out of pocket to like pay bands for gas and stuff, and then like you just dig yourself in a hole.
Yeah, or pay for sound or the venue or anything else.
It's not cheap, dude. Like
and it was a big blessing for me that the church, the Good Sam, didn't really charge that much for it and kind of let me have the run of the things just because I looked like an adult. Like I feel like I was the only one that looked responsible throughout the whole thing.
You're definitely the only one that was responsible. Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
So I mean that was cool, and thankfully we always did a pretty good job keeping that place clean and all that stuff. But yeah, I mean that I feel bad that there's nothing really there anymore. There's nothing in Calvert. There's nothing in Charles County that's letting anybody play there anymore that's not a cover act. There's a few open mics, and I think that's the other problem is that no one's showing up for open mics. Yeah. There's a bunch of them in St. Mary's, and I think they're doing okay. Steve from Shallow Deep, Run Catch Rain, he hosts a few of them down there, and I think they're doing well. But that's the only community that's actually doing anything, and it's the same people.
Yeah, is Casey Jones and La Plata still doing open mics? Oh, they stopped them?
Yeah.
I did that one time, and it was pretty cool.
They had a lot of good turnout, but it was whoever... I think there was a guy that was working at Island, and he played in that one band. He played bass for... Oh, I don't remember that guy. I don't remember that band's name.
Was it Christine?
No, they're all dudes. They started out original music and now are playing covers.
With Lying Eyes.
There you go.
I knew it.
That's it, yeah.
I knew it. It's weird.
They have this really, well-produced music video that is nice, but their music is okay.
I think I haven't listened to their music, since forever. But, I think their vocalist, if it's still the same guy, David, I thought he had a phenomenal voice whenever I played shows with him.
The whole band has talent.
Yeah.
Because he has some pipes on him. The guitarist is really good. The drummer is solid. The bass, I'm thinking of is, I think, Dylan. He's solid. So So, I mean, with all of that in there, they have the potential to really break out, but I think they're also playing generic rock at the moment, like generic hard rock at the moment, and I don't know if that's really going to do anything outside of Baltimore.
Yeah. I think it's like another case of like what you said, like people just playing their hometown too much, because like they never played out. They never left like St. Mary's County to play, and I think that really like kind of hurt them in the long run, because they definitely had talent and they've always been like really good, and they could write songs and they could perform them really well.
Yeah.
If I'm remembering correctly, which I'm pretty sure I am, but like they never left. Like they play like Rock the Ink or like Park Rock or like Memories all the time, but they would never like venture out, like even like try and find something in Upper Marlboro or like I don't know, like Towson, Baltimore.
Well, yeah, anywhere. I mean, there's really not much in PG. You have to go to Baltimore or DC to really do anything, and it's tough to get booked because I think Baltimore is an insulated little community already by itself, and DC is DC, where if you're not really a DC band, it's tough to get into a lot of those venues.
It's everywhere, man. Like I didn't learn that until I got out of like Southern Maryland, how hard it is to actually book yourself out of state. Like no one wanted to give me a chance anywhere I went, like because I was just some acoustic dude. Like I got lucky on my first tour because I was touring with Johnny. I was doing the Water Me Down tour, and like,
oh yeah, okay,
yeah, and they were already like kind of like gaining steam and like had buzz. So like they booked most of it.
Was that when he was doing a whole band or just by himself?
Just by himself.
Right? Because his whole band stuff was excellent. I remember them playing the church, and it was one of the better sets that I've seen from some kind of local band there. Oh, and then there was Tragic Blame.
Yeah, Corey's old band.
Yeah. Yeah, okay.
I didn't mind them either. I thought they were pretty good. Like there was a decent amount of like talent in Southern Maryland, but like no one had the motivation to get out of Southern Maryland and do stuff.
So go back to that tour though. So
but Johnny booked most of that tour that we went on. Me, Johnny, and Janelle. Like we did around Pennsylvania. I think we did like New Hampshire. We tried to do Connecticut. Like we went pretty far out. Like for my first run was like a week long, just because like I really wanted a tour, and they were like, "Yeah, I mean we can do that. We can, no problem."
Did you guys all share a car or whatever?
Yeah, we all went in Johnny's mom's car. I think it was like she had a pretty big SUV, so we just packed like the trunk and just went on the road and just did the run. And it was cool. But I think doing that, like even trying to help with booking, like made me realize how tough it is to like try and get your name out there. Because a lot of people, like you'll hit them up on like either anywhere, like Twitter or Facebook or email, and, like they just won't give you the time of day. They won't even bother to respond. Like you can see they read it, but they won't bother to respond to you if they don't, like if your name's not recognizable.
Right. So the way that I met Shot Heard Around the World is Wendy. I don't remember the guy's name, so I feel bad. But Wendy from Room of the Brew, right? Mm-hmm. Derek was messaging just literally like everybody. Derek's the drummer from that band that's no longer around, from Massachusetts. Amazing people. But yeah, he was just messaging everybody, emailing people and all this stuff. And then I think it was on Room with the Brews, maybe Facebook or MySpace page, or just maybe like random email. I don't remember what it was. But she was like, "Hey, this is for you. This is a band that wants to play here. Do you want to check them out?" And I was like, "Sure, I'll look at it and see what happened." I listened to them and I was like, "This is one of the better things that I've heard."
You were very critical about your music back then. Like,
yeah. Well,
super critical.
Yeah. I mean, you're not even that great, but I still like you, so it's fine.
I was wondering when it was going to come out.
Yeah, sorry. But yeah, so it was, I mean, that was a cool thing. And then I finally listened to their stuff and I started emailing back and forth. And next thing I know, they're down here putting on a show. Because that was and I still have pictures somewhere of this where Derek took off his shirt, kept drumming, stood on his drum stool, kept drumming, hitting all the cymbals, all the nonsense.
I was there.
Right.
I was there.
Stepped on his toms, still hitting his cymbals, and then like twisted, jumped around, and then just went right back into it, hitting everything in there. and it was just nuts. It was one of the better things still to this day that I've seen.
Yeah.
Which probably isn't that great in the long run, but it's still just something that kept with you, and it's something that I've never seen anybody still do it.
For me, that was like me seeing the Chariot for the first time, like before the Chariot was a thing. Like that performance was like quite literally the performance I would expect from the band The Chariot.
Yeah, that was incredible. So you went on tour with Water Me Down for the first time. Did you tour at all with Varsity Letter?
No, we never. We did like. We were all pretty stupid, so we did like a string of like Hot Topic in-store acoustic.
Oh, I forgot about that.
And we called that a tour, but we came home every night, so it was like that wasn't shit. So like we did like a bunch of random malls in Maryland and in Virginia. It's really weird because we played Marley Station Mall in Glen Burnie.
Yeah.
Like back then, and like I think like just 4 years ago I ended up working at that Hot Topic.
That's funny.
Which is like super weird. And I was like, why does this store look so freaking familiar? Like I feel like I've been here before. And I was like, oh shit, I played acoustic here before. That's weird.
Well, how were those shows?
They weren't bad. There was only one instance where it got really weird because like I guess the owner forgot we called and like booked it just because like we had no like skill for following up with people, so that was like definitely on us. But all of them are pretty cool. Like we played like the Waldorf Mall and that was always really fun. We met some really weird kids in Manassas, Virginia after that show, and they like definitely let some of the members smoke some weed that was laced with something, and that was weird. That
really?
It got real weird that night, and like some of the members were like freaking out, so I had to like drive everyone home. It was crazy. They were like telling us, they were like offering us a place to stay, but like we, as the night went on, got to like 2 a.m. and we're like, they're not letting us stay anywhere. They're just kind of like leading us around all over Virginia right now. Like we need to go home. So we just went home. But that was an experience.
Right, because I'm kind of surprised that you guys didn't do more with that band.
I think I'm not scared to name names. Dave's mom, she really held us back a lot because she was very protective. Dave was the drummer of the band. If you guys remember, like she definitely held us back because she tried to be like the band manager and would like control what we did. But she was very protective of her son, so that definitely influenced what we could and couldn't do. So like touring was definitely not in the cards unless she was coming with. I'm not having this dude's mom ride with us like to every show we go to. Like that's
well, did you ever think about just replacing them?
We did eventually. But then that didn't work out for very long. We had a drummer from Waldorf, and we actually did recording here first with you, Mike. And then I don't remember what happened. I think Matt and Joe had some kind of disagreement, and then they wanted to go somewhere else. I don't remember what happened. But then we went to this dude, Justin Day, in Glen Burnie, and like we had a drummer whose parts like weren't good. So it was like really shitty. The dude we recorded with didn't like the drummer's stuff. So he's like, look, like this guy's not keeping up with what you're doing. Like if you want, like I have this friend who can drum, like he's really good. We can like have him come and just knock out some parts for you. So I think we opted to do that, but we didn't tell our drummer that like his parts, we weren't keeping them. Cause it was fucked. It was so fucked. So like eventually when we got the mixes back, like he heard him, he's like, this isn't me.
What are you talking about? That's definitely you. You're on time all the time.
We had to like kick him out. But
That's
then we
a
just
hell of
didn't
a way
have
to kick someone out. Be like, hey, we recorded this without you,
yeah,
and you're no longer in
shitty.
the band either.
It was super shitty for sure. And we ended up having to kick him out. But then the band kind of just fizzled out because we just kind of had a lot of miscommunication with each other because Ned was still in freaking middle school, I think.
Ned was in middle school at that time?
Yeah, because
There's no way.
He was like, no, okay, he was in high school. He was like 16 at the time.
Because everybody else was like 18, 19?
Yeah.
Right?
I was 20, and he was like 16, 17, I feel like.
Right, because
he was significantly younger. Like, I had to make him show me his ID because I didn't believe him. I didn't
right.
believe him.
Which was funny because he was like bigger than all of you.
Which
like,
is weird.
Muscle-wise, he was just bigger than all of you. He just looked like a man. He was the like 15 or 16.
Yeah.
Right.
Now he looks like a freaking supermodel. It's weird, man.
Go for that guy. Like, good for him.
Yeah.
He makes me feel bad about myself almost every day that I see him do anything. But I'm surprised. Yeah, either way, I'm surprised that you guys just didn't do more. Obviously, it makes sense that there was a little little back and forth in there. But how? So that band fizzles out. I think you guys played a reunion a couple years after that, right?
Yeah. I actually left the band. I think I had left the band because I had some issues with the drummer, and then they had a show at Jam and Java actually that was coming up, and they didn't have anyone to play bass. I think they like found someone to fill in, but then like they backed out and was like, "Hey, I'm not actually about this. Sorry guys." Like on the day of the show. So I remember going to Joe's house and like learning bass parts for like a new song because they had only come up with like one new song since I had left, and I like played the show with them at Jam and Java and kind of like just stuck with it. But like when I did that, I took more of a role doing like bass and background vocals and whatnot.
So is that when you started singing too?
Yeah. I started singing because I was riding with this dude, Trent McKee. We were riding in the car together, and this Mayday Parade song came on, and like we were singing it together, and he's like, "Dude, you have a really good voice. Like, you should probably like sing more." And I was like, "No, I'm good."
Really?
Like, yeah.
That's how that started?
Yeah, like I didn't want to sing anything.
When was that? Was that when you guys were playing with Our Last Stand?
It's because I was in Our Last Stand and Varsity Letter together. I was in both bands at the same time.
I forgot about that.
Yeah,
okay.
So I was doing both bands. But Trent was like, "Yeah, you should definitely start singing more because your voice is freaking beautiful. Like, you should definitely do that." And I was like, "I'm good." But like he'd like slowly pressure me into singing in front of people. Like if we were hanging out with friends, he'd like put on that specific song and be like, "Hey man, Dan can sing this song really well. You should listen to him." I'm like, "Dude, stop being an asshole. Like don't do that. I told you I don't want to do that." So I didn't start singing until like Trent like peer pressured me into singing more, and that's like how I started doing it.
And when did you start playing guitar? Because you played bass in both of those bands, right?
Yeah, I played bass in both of those bands. After the Varsity Letter broke up and Our Last Stand wasn't a thing anymore, the dudes in Our Last Stand and I were always like super close during that time. And we wanted to start a new project because like just music was something that we like really had fun doing together because they were like a fun group of people. And we had like a cool like clique that we hung out with and like played my brother's place a lot. And at that time, I don't even remember how like it came up that I wanted to start playing guitar. I remember Trent and John taking me to Hot Licks and like convinced me to somehow open up a Hot Licks credit card, and that's how I bought an electric guitar and a cab, like a half stack. That was like a horrible financial decision. I should not have done that.
You did both of those things at once?
Yeah, my credit, like I got approved for a lot. Like I don't even know how, but like I bought all of it at one time. I was like, I'll just pay it off. I'm working a good job. Like which I guess Target was a good job for me at the time. I don't know, dude. I don't know. So like, I bought the stuff and like we started playing in this band Vela Vela, and like, it was a weird time. It was a very weird time just because like I feel like everything about that project was fake, because it was.
Right.
Because they're like a Christian-based band. I am not a Christian. I don't.
So, because I thought Our Last Stand was, but they carried that over to Vela Vela?
Yeah, they carried it over. Like, they were fine with me, like, not going to church with them and whatnot, because that's not what I was into. But, like, when they did Vela Vela, they wanted me to start going to church with them, and I was like, I'll give it a shot. Like, I'll go for it and see what, like, your church is about. But, like, they got, like, really into it, and, like, I wasn't into it. So it was, like, during that time, it was all about, like, image, I feel like, for a lot of bands in the local scene. Like, you had to wear the skinny jeans, like, your hair had to look a certain way, had to, like, have synchronized movements and shit for all your bands. It was god-awful.
What was that, crab dancing?
Crabcore, dude.
Crabcore.
That crabcore, you know?
The jogging in place.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think so one of the few bands that was different from that was in that area was Well I'll Be Damned.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember the original singer's name, and I don't remember, but he was this skinny redhead dude that was just crazy.
It's Tony Barnes.
Is that okay? Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, cool. But he was great, and I love that band. And so you had him, I think you had Frank in there.
Do you know who the original lineup was, Mike, by any chance? For Well I'll Be Damned? I just remember Tony, mostly.
So, Tony, Frank, I think Sean was in there as far as the original goes, if I remember right.
I remember he was in it. Like,
yeah. So, because I remember seeing them, and they were the only band that was different, but they reminded me so much of like Daughters and just crazy grindcore nonsense that I just really appreciated because they didn't listen to any of that. They just created it, which was fun because when I talked to them and I was like, you should listen to all these other bands that are doing what you wanted or doing what you're doing right now. And then that turned into Mason hopping on there after Tony left. And then what was that band that they all started?
Thrown to the Depths.
Thrown to the Depths, yeah. Because then it went from that spastic, crazy, grindcore metal nonsense to that big, heavy sound once Mason got in there too.
Yeah.
So that was cool. And I think that was right around when you were playing with Vela Vela, if I remember right?
Yeah. I feel like everything about that time was just very awful, but like there were some like positives that came out of it. Like if I hadn't been in Vela Vela, I wouldn't have met Kyle Schaefer and like Josh Selesky and Joe Selesky. Like I would not have met those dudes. I only met them because there was a show that we had at my brother's place.
Those guys are from Birthright.
Yeah, the guys from Birthright. There was a show we had at my brother's place that was like The Weight of Waiting, A Cylinder Aperture, and there was Ascendings, bands from like around the Severna Park, Glen Burnie area.
What was Josh? What were the Selesky brothers in? A Sunlit Aperture at that point?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know if Josh was in A Sunlit Aperture at the time, but I know Joe was.
And then
Joe and Kyle were.
Right, okay. And then I'm going to feel bad because I'm going to forget his name, but it was In These Dreams and Death
with
of a
Lord
Thane.
Sue and Andrew Johnson.
Andrew, yeah.
Yeah, so like without that band, I wouldn't have met all those dudes.
Right.
Because when Vela Vela broke up, Kyle, I was doing My Heart, My Anchor after Vela Vela broke up because Sean wanted to like do some acoustic music.
So did he hit you up or did you?
For which band? My Heart, My Anchor.
For Sean, I'm sorry.
Sean hit me up because we played a show when he was in Well I'll Be Damned.
Right.
And he was like, "Hey man, like I have this acoustic stuff I've been like writing, but like I don't have anyone to sing it. Like I'm not a singer. I like your voice. Would you like to want to come and jam?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure. Like I'm not doing anything. I don't have a band right now." So we would just like get together in his house like every other week and like just like he'd jam this music he'd come up with and I'd write lyrics on the spot and we just like sing in his bedroom or on his balcony or whatever and just like practice these songs. And then eventually we got Matt Jones into the group as well, who had played in the Varsity Letter as like a lead guitarist, and I always thought he was like really good. So we just did like acoustic shows for a while. I think we booked our first acoustic show through you. I'm pretty positive.
Yeah, was that at the church or was that somewhere else?
I'm pretty sure it was at the church. Because I think we did Room with the Brew through you as well.
Yeah.
We did a bunch of acoustic shows.
I think you've done pretty much, as far as when you guys started out, it was pretty much all me.
Yeah, all the shows were through you because we knew better than to go to Fred Heather at that point. We'd all like
Which
experience
again,
that.
He's great. He's doing a lot.
Fantastic dude, but
he's
back
doing
then,
a lot for music in that area. Just, Anyway, okay, so Sean hit you up, and then you started playing around together. When did Matt join?
Matt joined. It wasn't long after the first show because the first show was just me and Sean. Like we played like a couple shows just like me and Sean, and then like we were like it'd be cool if we had like a lead guitar, like something that'll go over this like this guitar. And I hit Matt up and he was down for it, so we brought him.
Matt,
in.
I always liked because everything that he added was a really nice, like pretty layer on top of everything. Had different atmospherics. And
he didn't overdo things, which is like the biggest thing. Because there are plenty of dudes that can like shred on guitar, but like when they do leads, like they're just doing too much, and it just is very overpowering. And like you don't need all that with a lot of music, and especially not acoustic, because it's like very like subtle. So we did like a bunch of shows and whatnot, but eventually it got to a point where we were playing like bigger shows. Like I remember the biggest show we did as a 3-piece acoustic act, we opened for The Chariot.
I remember that, and I remember looking at that and I was like, that don't make no sense.
Yeah, it didn't make any sense at all. But it was cool because like everyone was like pretty receptive of it. Like even the dudes in The Chariot were like, "You guys are really good. Like that was awesome. Like thanks for playing the show." Like they were cool with it. But it got to a point where we were like, "We should probably get a full band for this. Before I start playing big shows."
Okay.
So I hit up Robbie, who was in Velo Vela.
And he's playing bass for you, right?
Yeah, he was playing bass, and I hit up Tyler Lagana, who also had played in Velo Vela for a little bit too. And they were down for it because they weren't doing any music at the time. So we started playing together and like playing shows and whatnot. It was really cool.
But that didn't last that long, if I remember right.
No. Eventually, just friction between members. I think Matt was the first one to go.
Well, from what I remember, Matt wasn't very reliable.
Yes, that is what it was. Thank you for reminding me. I think... this is what it was for the final straw. We were going to play Ice Jam Fest at Sonar in Baltimore.
Wow.
It was one of the first times we played Baltimore. It was the very first Ice Jam Fest. And I think like Silverstein was headlining. We Came as Romans. A bunch of bands who were big at that time. And we all left to go to the venue. And Matt's like, okay, I'll meet you guys there. So we're at the venue. We sold like 125 tickets. Like we pushed the shit out of that show. And like sold tickets out the ass. And I remember we got to the venue. And it's like 10 minutes till doors and there's no Matt. And like, so we're trying to call him. He's just not answering the phone. And then like I text him and he's like, yeah, man, I'm just not going to come. And we're just like, the fuck do you mean you're not going to come to the show, dude? Like, this is a really big show. You can't just like abandon us the day of the show.
That's got to be like the biggest show that you've played, and probably still one of the biggest shows that you would have played, right?
Yeah. It was huge for us. Cause like that was like our ticket into like playing Baltimore and like having a reliable booker and everything. And so, cause
125 tickets is incredibly strong for a band almost 2 hours away.
Yeah. And it was for Out of Loop Management, who was like a big company at the time. They're still doing things.
Are they?
Yeah, they still have like their like label and whatnot, and they have like some.
I forgot they had a label, but I remember a lot of pay to play stuff. From them, right?
We had I can't say we. I was the one that mostly talked to Tyler, who was like the booking agent for Outer Loop at the time. Tyler and I had a very good like level of respect for each other, and like he really respected like the work ethic that we had for like promoting shows and like selling tickets and whatnot. Like he never made us pay for any show that we played. Like if we didn't sell enough tickets, he never asked us to pay out of pocket. He always paid us. He was like probably one of the best dudes I've ever had like the pleasure of dealing with.
And I think he was one of the main guys of that, right?
Yeah.
When they took over Empire, or
was
Jax
at the time,
and then turned into Empire for him, right?
Yeah, he was really cool. So he was the one that was doing the promoting for Ice Jam, and like he was impressed by how many tickets we sold, and he like gave us $100 bonus just for like selling 125 tickets. Like he like literally took out $100 of ticket money and just gave it to us. It's like, dude, like you've earned every dollar of this. And it was like,
that's amazing.
Thanks, dude. But
especially for a band that far out and that's still starting out, I feel like that's pretty huge.
Yeah, and he gave us like a slot that was like later on in the night when like the fest was like pretty packed, because like everyone was there. It was a sold out show, so like we were
and Sonar was pretty big if I remember right. So you had probably like a 500 person capacity at least there, because they did like dubstep and stuff like that there too, right?
Yeah. But it sucked because like now we're outside scrambling to figure out what we're gonna do. We've practiced this set of new songs with our guitarist who's not here, and like he's like a big deal with like the new songs since like he has this very lead heavy. I felt like, so we were like, what the hell do we do? Like we're just outside this venue, like this is a sold out show, like we can't like back out of it. Like we sold a lot of tickets to get here and like play this, so we ended up like just playing. I remember Sean was really mad about it, so he got super drunk before we played. Awful idea.
Oh no.
But like we played a bunch of older songs and like we had like a really good crowd. I remember there was a moment where Sean fell off the stage because he was so intoxicated, but he still kept going with it, and like we did really well, which is like really surprising.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it was really surprising, but like we killed it and it was like a really good time. But then after that show, we were like, okay, well, what do we do without a lead guitarist? Like Matt's obviously not in the band anymore. Like what do we do? So there was this guy, Anthony Neve. I don't remember what band he was in at the time. I think it was like a metal band from Virginia called Envisions.
Yeah, I remember them.
Yeah. Anthony had hit us up and was like, hey, like I'm not in Envisions anymore. If like you guys need a guitarist, I'm down
and
to try
Envisions
out.
was like one of the metalcore bands, right?
Yeah, they're one of the bigger metalcore bands in like Virginia. So we're like, well, yeah, like by all means, like come and jam with us. We jammed with some other people as well. Like one of the Dans from the Second Sunrise like jammed with us for a little bit. Yeah, no one knew about that, I feel like. We had this kid Brett jam with us a couple times. And they were all good, but like I felt like the chemistry wasn't there for what we were trying to do. They were all like really talented dudes, but it just kind of like didn't work out. But we met with Anthony, and he tried out, and he like was amazing. So we like got Anthony, and Anthony kind of like changed the new songs around for the better. I felt like we went to go record the EP with this dude named Derv in York, Pennsylvania, and Derv and Anthony like just hated each other from the get-go. Like,
really?
Yeah, they did not like each other. Like, Derv thought like Anthony was a piece of shit because I don't even know like how they got to that like level that they just hated each other, but we could not have them in the same room together. Like, we had to actually like have Anthony like downstairs like away from everyone while Derv was like trying to record with us and stuff. And like Derv was like just very negative about like having Anthony in the band. He's like, dude, he's gonna fuck you guys over. Like, I'm telling you, in the long run, he will fuck you guys over. You need to like watch out, get someone else. And we're like, well, I mean, I don't know, man. You might maybe just being a little bit too harsh on him. I don't know. So we recorded the EP, released that. That was cool. Played some shows, and then Anthony fucked us over.
What happened?
He vanished. He like literally just disappeared.
So he pulled a Matt.
Yeah, he pulled a Matt. I don't know if he had like a mental breakdown or whatever, but like no one heard from him for the longest time. And
did you ever tell that recording dude, "Hey, you all right? Thanks for the warning"?
No. But he made sure he told us. He's like, "I told you guys. I told you he was gonna do that. Like, you should have just listened to me. We should have, but we didn't because we were stubborn and hard headed and thought we knew better. So Anthony disappeared, and we were gonna try and just do just like the 4-piece, like just me, Sean, Robbie, and Tyler. But
were you gonna start playing guitar?
No. I was just gonna do vocals. I didn't have really any interest in playing guitar again. Like, I was pretty over that from the whole Vela thing. But then Tyler just kind of felt like we were on this like plateau and we weren't really getting anywhere. So he tried out for the band Octaves at the time.
Oh, wow.
I think he was actually in Octaves for a little bit.
Really?
Yeah, he like left us and was in Octaves for a little bit, and that kind of left me, Sean, and Robbie like no drummer. So,
I had no idea about that. I actually really liked Octave.
Yeah, they were sick.
Yeah, they I hit them up because they were supposed to play for me a couple times, and it just didn't work out for a couple of different reasons. But I just remember them being great.
Yeah,
and
awesome.
Then just not like responsive, which kind of put a bad taste in my mouth a little bit. But I mean, they were one of the bigger bands in Baltimore at that time, so whatever. But because I think I booked them for the church, and I think they played the church or Room with a Brew. I don't remember which one they did. And I tried booking them again, and it just didn't work out.
Because they were coming up around the same time as Pianos.
Yeah,
I remember you had Pianos play the church.
Yeah.
I remember that.
I did, and that's one of the one of my favorite things. Them, I had a band called Pygmy Lush, a Room with a Brew forever ago, which was Pygmy Lush is Chris and his brother from I think his brother from Page 99.
Yeah,
they did a bunch of different stuff. They went from folksy to heavy stuff, back to folksy stuff. So that was cool for me. Having Pianos play after, I think that was pretty close to the release of the Lack Long After, if I remember right. So for me, that was a big thing. And Mike is really cool. That whole band was awesome. I've seen Mike a few different times at a couple different shows. When I went to go see Planes Mistaken for Stars at DC9, which is one of the best experiences that I've had. So that was really cool seeing them. And then obviously T-Bone from Tiger Scout kind of greased the wheels a little bit for that. So that was awesome. Because I think Mike's family is from Solomon's. I think, if I remember right?
Yeah, and I know they're like all friends, and like they would come around like quite often.
And it's cool seeing them really try and do different a little bit different style of music, even if it's not my cup of tea at the moment. But seeing them get bigger and bigger, just because I've seen them literally like rise up.
Yeah.
So that's really,
it's crazy.
really cool.
It's crazy.
So you had just 4 members. You lost your drummer.
Yeah.
And then now, do you have a bassist or not?
Yeah, Robbie was still with us, and Sean was still doing guitar, and I was still doing vocals. We had the drummer from the Second Sunrise play with us for a little bit. We jammed for like a couple of months.
Who was that?
Dan, I don't remember his last name. His name was Dan, so that got really confusing for practices.
Right.
But he jammed with us for a little bit, and it was really cool. But I think at that time, Robbie started to lose interest because it wasn't Tyler, and like Robbie and Tyler are really close. Sean, I think, at that time was kind of talking with Thrown to the Depths about playing bass for them. So like we were all kind of trying to do other things at the time. And like kind of towards the end of like My Heart, My Anchor, I got contacted by Kyle Schaefer. He was in the Lives to Come at the time, but they were just doing one vocalist, and he hit me up and asked me if I wanted to like try out for vocals or whatnot, because we had played shows together.
Yeah, because that was the Selesky brothers,
Ryan and Colin and Kyle.
Right.
Yeah. I remember we were gonna meet up and talk in Crofton. We played at a venue called the Mac.
I remember that place.
Yeah, it was a My Heart, My Anchor and the Lives to Come show. We were opening for Memphis Mayfire, and
so I think I saw In These Dreams there.
Yeah. They played there
and
a lot.
a bunch of different ones. It was a weird place because it was like a nondescript building, if I remember right.
Yeah.
And just kind of in the middle of nowhere, and then you go in there, and they had this big bright stage. Was it just a venue, or was it something else? Because I feel like it was something else.
I thought it was like also like partially a church.
I thought it might have been like a theater or something. I'm
not positive. It was a very weird space, but it was always really cool to play there. The dude Scott, he ran Cobra Clutch, who like did most of the shows in Crofton and Glen Burnie. He was always like a super nice dude.
Right, because he did a lot of the stuff. What Knights of Columbus?
Yeah,
that's how I saw
St. Christopher's.
Yeah, because that's how I saw Listener in '68, which was an amazing show. And then I think Samuel Powers played that, if I remember right. And I was just at the DC tattoo convention. I saw that guy just randomly. He's tattooing. So the lead singer, Samuel Powers, is tattooing there.
Nice.
Dan Haight, maybe. But I went up to him and was like, this is going to be real weird, but do you play in a band? And he was like, yeah, I play in 2 of them. I was like, oh, well, I saw you forever ago, and you guys were great. So it was kind of awkward. But it was cool just because, it's a small world and all that stuff in there, right? And then he has this other band that was based off the Wonder Years that they did a whole record based off of that show, which is fantastic. And I wish I could remember the name of it.
Was it a heavier band?
No.
Okay.
I don't think so. I wish I could remember the name of it, but it doesn't matter. But that was just really cool, and because that was at the Knights of Columbus, which is just awkward because everybody's on the floor. But
yeah,
you had 68 there when they first came out, so it's just what was the last name? Scoggins, Justin Scoggins, and the drummer, and they're just going ape shit, and it's just in this like
it's wild.
Yeah, and it's linoleum tile, bright fluorescent lights, just in this like little banquet room, and they're just fucking ripping. And Listener was amazing. So yeah, I forgot about that. Cobra Clutch was kind of iffy for me because I've seen what they did to other bands for the pay to play sometimes, and just having like 7 bands on one bill. Because I remember, because I think Sean played with these guys too. I don't remember the name. It was a Christian metal band that was around here that Bill played with. Doesn't matter. anyway, so I saw, I think, something Plague, and doesn't matter. It was like it was shit.
They were all like big Christian metal shows for the most part.
Yeah, and it was just like chug chug chug.
Yeah.
Terrible breakdown. Meh.
Yeah.
But it was kind of shitty, just from what I saw, because you had 4 opening bands and then 3 that was like the touring package. Mm-hmm. And those 4 opening bands had to sell a bunch of tickets and played for 10 to 15 minutes.
See, my understanding with Cobra Clutch, like Scott was also another dude that I had like a very good understanding with. It was never, it's weird. Like, yes, it was pay to play, but like he'd never ask you to sell any more than like 12 tickets at the most. And like he had a really good deal where like he would do, okay, if you sell 6 tickets, the other 6, everything you sell past 6, you keep the money. Like, you don't owe me anything. So, like,
that's great.
It wasn't that, I don't think it was that he was fucking bands over or anything like that. I think it was more along the lines of bands not putting in the hustle and not promoting like they should. I think that was a big deal about it.
Yeah, I mean, it's got to be in give and take.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, because I remember talking to him, like, a bunch of times. Like, he offered me a lot of shows that, like, I, in all honesty, had no right getting. But he would always talk to me about how, like, it was hard to have bands that would like actually bring people out because they're not pushing the show, they're not like sharing the flyer, like telling their friends about
they're
it.
They're hoping that the touring package that those bigger bands are going to bring all the people.
Yeah,
when but like, the whole idea of support is to bring in support because those people aren't necessarily.
Yeah, and I think that like halted a lot of bands in Glen Burnie too. Like a lot of bands weren't pushing or not hustling like they should have. And, like, I feel like I kept the mentality of the hustle, like, from when I was in My Heart, My Anchor to, like, when I joined The Lives to Come. Like, I was pushing tickets and, like, selling tickets for the band and whatnot and, like, always making sure Scott had his money. Like, I would never accept a show I knew I couldn't sell the tickets for.
Well, and I think that's also something with some of the bands that I see kind of bitching about pay to play. And as, like, a former promoter, the way to look at it it is definitely a business, and some people take it more serious as a business than others. Mm-hmm. I never took it serious. That's the reason why I don't do it anymore, because I didn't make any money off of it. I lost quite a bit.
Yeah.
But it was like my biggest passion. Like that was the way that I could really like get my musical outlet out. Mm-hmm. So that was the way that I expressed my music, because I can't play for shit. I just started learning guitar for the first time, and I'm still not great. But yeah, I mean, that's, so you gotta have that give and take. You gotta be able to know where you're at as a band. Keep bugging your friends.
Yeah.
Right? Don't oversaturate your local market though, which is something that a lot of people do. They just play out and out and out and out. And instead of maybe playing once a month, they play every week, or once a quarter, they play every month at the same place over and over again. I don't know. But you got to be able to draw, and you got to be able to, prove that you can financially do it when you're going for the bigger guys that are like, hey, this is how I like support my kids and put food on the table.
Yeah.
I didn't. I had a job. I had a full-time, almost 65 to 70-hour work week.
I don't need these local shows.
No, I don't. I'm just doing it out of the kindness of my heart, and I hate all of you. Like, pretty much all of you.
Understandable. We gave you hell.
But yeah, I mean, that's a thing. So you're in the Lives to Come, and you're playing with them. They do pretty well, if I remember right.
Yeah, playing the Lives to Come was like the most fun I've had in like a long time. I had never been in a band that had another vocalist, so it was the first time I've ever done like the dual vocal thing. But it was like the coolest shit ever, because like Josh and I get along really well. And, like, I got along with the rest of the dudes as well.
Right, because you guys were, like, a baby Alexis on Fire.
Yeah, essentially, yeah. So I came into the band, and they had an EP they had already recorded in Bethesda in Taylor Larson's studio. But they didn't have any clean vocals for it, but they really wanted a clean vocalist. So, like, I wrote some vocals. I came into the studio and I recorded my parts. We released it, did some shows, like, got pretty good reception for, like, what we had out. We'd always play like Winchester, and we'd always do Cobra Clutch shows. And that like worked really well for us. We had like a decent sized following. Then I started booking at Charm City Art Space, and I would book us on shows if like, or I would book a show that I knew I'd want to play. Like, I think the most fun I ever had at a show was there was a band that was in Baltimore that they were called Tooth and Claw, and they were really good, good friends of ours, but they didn't play very much before they broke up. One of the shows that we did was them and us like doing like a co-headlining thing at Charm City Art Space, and we sold like 50, 60 spots for Charm City Art Space, which is like, that's a lot because it's not a big space.
Well, yeah, and then they're usually having like 10 people plus the band there.
That too.
Which is probably the reason why they're not around anymore, which is very, very disappointing because that was a good outlet for a lot of people.
Yeah, it was a cool space to have. So like we do that, and it was really fun. We went and recorded an EP with Jay. He played in the band Defeater.
Yeah, Jay Moss. Yeah.
And that was like a really cool experience. I didn't think I did as well as I could have done on the recording. I thought my shit sucked, and that like brought the recording down a whole bunch too, because like it's like half and half with me and Josh. So like if I'm not giving my best on it, then it's not gonna be what we all want it to be. Josh killed it.
Well, why did you feel that way though?
I feel like I probably rushed lyrics and I didn't spend as much time going over melodies and how I wanted to sing things. So like when I went into the studio and I was doing my parts, I feel like I was coming up with a lot of it on the fly, and we only had a week to get it all done. And a lot of that time was spent doing like guitars, bass, and like drums. So we had like the least amount of time for vocals. So I think I had really dropped the ball on that. And it definitely like showed, I feel like. People were receptive to the new EP, but I just didn't feel confident about it. So we played more shows and whatnot. It was really cool. I lived at the house with the dudes. I had moved up to Baltimore at the time, so I was living with Josh, Joe, and Ryan in their house. And then I don't remember how it came up, but I think Sean hit me up one day and was like, "Hey, dude, do you want to play a show?" And I was like, "Okay, like why not?" It was like, just you and me, or like the band. He's like, "Oh, just you and me." So we played like some random house show in La Plata and like had like a blast. And we're like, we should probably do this more often. So then like we kind of like slowly but surely began performing As My Heart, My Anchor again, but just the two of us.
Right, okay.
So eventually things with the Lives to Come start to kind of go downward. Our guitarist left because he had other things he was dealing with. And then I left because I didn't feel like I was having much of a say in like the lyric process or like just the songwriting process in general, which probably has something to do with like how I performed on the last EP. So like
you felt more like you were an accessory than anything else?
Yeah, which is nothing against them. Like I don't think that I was giving them my all. So it was probably like for the best that I wasn't in that project anymore. So they went on to do Birthright, which is like a sick band. They're really good.
And I always liked those guys ever since I met them with the Lives to Come. I mean, they're fantastic. Everything that they've done, I've really, really, really liked.
Yeah, they're all like phenomenal musicians. Like they're like incredible. So Sean and I were just doing like every now and again we do some shows and whatnot because I was living in Baltimore and he was still down here in Hughesville. So like that's not like a trip I want to make like every day to like, practice and whatnot. I'm positive. And also because I don't like Southern Maryland that much. So
what did we ever do to you?
Oh, yo, this place is toxic as fuck. It's so toxic in Southern Maryland. And it was like that whole heroin thing was like up and coming too, and like there's so many people that are on heroin now, and it's like nuts, man.
Yeah, I mean,
it sucks.
It's definitely a thing. I mean, you have heroin, fentanyl is being a big thing, and a lot of it's down in St. Mary's, which is very disappointing. I mean,
yeah, because like that's
we've
where
lost mutual friends.
Yeah,
from that, so that sucks.
Yeah,
it's not a good thing.
It's really crappy. So I felt like some of the people that I was associating with, like before I moved, like could have led me down that path. So I needed to get out of Southern Maryland. So I did.
So maybe it was just your pick of who you're hanging out with,
that
rather than
probably too.
Maybe there's just the people that don't really like you.
Do you like
much.
Southern Maryland, Chris?
I mean, I'm not moving anytime soon, so we're gonna
That's
see
not
what
answering the
happens.
question. That's not answering the question, Chris.
Hey, I live here now, so there's that.
I guess. But Sean and I would like jam every now and again. He was dating someone that had 2 kids, so he was kind of like in a daddy role at the time.
Yeah.
So he did not have a lot of time. I was all about it. We recorded a full length with Mike that we were both like super proud of. It was like all the old songs we had made back when we were like an active band. We just had been too lazy and poor to like record it. So like Mike killed it with the full length. We released that. People like really dug it. It was awesome. I wanted to like tour with it, but Sean really couldn't do that because he was like in the daddy role and he was also doing like the Steamfitters Union. So
right,
like,
because that was when he first started, I think, right?
yeah, so he can't just like take time off to like go tour and whatnot.
Right.
So he was like, yeah, dude, like if you want to like tour on this, like by all means do it. I will teach you the guitar parts. And I was like, I'm not.
So this entire time you've never like learned your own songs?
Oh no. Hell no. I was just singing, dude. Is that weird?
I mean, not really. Like everybody has their own role, but it's just interesting that you had to learn your own songs.
Yeah, it's pretty strange, dude. It's pretty strange. So Sean taught me all the songs and whatnot, and I kind of just did it by myself. I always left the door open, like if Sean wanted to come back and like wanted to write more stuff and like do it together, like he's more than welcome to do that. But like I kind of just started doing it myself. There were things I wanted to do. Like touring was like a big thing I wanted to do. Like I've always wanted to do since like I started going to local shows at my brother's place and seeing my friends go on tours and whatnot. Like yeah, that was just something that like it was a goal of mine. Like when I took it over like by myself. It was really funny because like with the Water Me Down tour, I wasn't even gonna play guitar on that. Johnny was gonna play guitar for me, and I was just gonna sing.
Huh.
So Johnny was gonna do a Water Me Down set, and then he was gonna play guitar for me, and like I was gonna sing, and he was gonna do backup vocals. So it'd be like me and Johnny were My Heart, My Anchor.
That would have been interesting.
Yeah, it would have been. It was gonna be really fun. But then they were just like, dude, you could totally do this. Like, you're good enough at guitar. Just freaking do it.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't look hard.
Shut up, dude.
I feel like I can play those songs now, and I only know A minor, G, C.
You talking a lot of shit, Chris. Talking a lot of shit, dude. So I was like, okay, Johnny, if you think I can do it, I'll do it. So like, we went on the tour and I did it. Like I did guitar all by myself, like a big boy. And
Yeah, I'm proud of you.
thanks. And like since then, like I did a bunch of other tours and like I recorded an EP, and like 2 splits.
Were the tours how you thought they were? When you were looking at all these other bands being like, tour's so cool, I want to go on there.
I thought tour was going to be a lot crazier than it was. I think the craziest tour that I did was with a dude named Casey Bowles.
Yeah.
He goes under the name Gardenhead now, which is like super sick.
What was he before? No, it was just Casey, right?
Yeah, he just went by the name
himself.
Casey Bowles.
Right,
Yeah.
okay.
But now he does Gardenhead, which is like super cool. But I think that was a crazy tour because, one, neither one of us had a car we wanted to use for the tour. Like, I didn't want to use my car for the tour because it was like a very small car at the time and could not fit all our stuff. Casey didn't have a car and his parents were not letting him take the car.
But it was just 2 acoustic guitars. What?
But his merch too. He had a lot of merch.
Right.
Yeah. So, and then like all of our stuff for like sleeping and whatnot and clothes, whatever. So.
What do you need that for?
Yeah, right. What do you need to get dressed for? I think he made a status on his Facebook asking if anyone would be willing to let us use their car for a 2-week tour. And this dude actually responded and was like, yeah, like I'll drive you guys. Like, that's fine.
All right, well, that's kind of cool. Like, if you have a driver.
Yeah, it would have been cool. But then when I was on the train to Buffalo to meet Casey, first thing he says to me is like, okay, so for being honest, I don't fucking like this dude that we're about to be in the car with for 2 weeks. And I'm like, oh shit, what's wrong with him? He's like, he's kind of an asshole. I'm like, glad we're going to be stuck with him for 2 weeks. That'll be cool. So this dude, I'm not going to name names, but if he's listening, I doubt he is. He knows who he is. He was the biggest
This will probably
douche.
never come out. It'll be okay.
He was the biggest douche I've ever met in my life. He had a One Direction, like the moth tattoo, like one of the One Direction dudes has on his chest. He like...
I don't know what that is, but it sounds terrible.
I only know about it because someone pointed it out to me. He thought he was a musician and he like did ukulele covers of like Buy You a Drink.
That's adorable.
That was like god awful, dude. Like, he made a music video which was just him on his iPhone, like walking down the street, like in selfie position,
with
like
that
singing "Buy You a
tattoo?
Drink." Yes, and he like was just all in, like that he was a musician, he was killing it.
So was he trying to open for you guys? Is that
Yes.
Oh
Yes. So he picks us up. Our first night was in Buffalo. Case picked me up from the train stop. We played Buffalo at a venue that's not open anymore. And
How cold was it up there?
It was ridiculously cold. I was not ready. So we played Buffalo, and then Mike comes and picks... Oh, there's his name. Mike comes and picks us up the next morning, and he's just like talking to us about like all his like Twitter and Tumblr followers who are just really into his music because he vlogs and whatnot. So he has like all these subscribers and all this other stupid shit that doesn't matter.
Does that translate to fans showing up for shows?
Apparently, dude. So, but it was like free publicity, like to all his little Twitter followers. Like whenever we had a show, like he would just like promote it.
So you guys had a decent following?
Not because of him, but yeah.
Are you sure?
Yes.
I mean, it sounds like he was doing all the work.
I am positive.
I don't know. That ukulele can go a long way.
Maybe if you're good at it, I don't know. But it was cool. 2 weeks was the longest I had done at that time, just because the only tour I had done besides that was the Water Me Down one, and that was like just 5 to 6 days.
So this was your second tour.
Yeah, and I was like, hell yeah, I want to tour more. Let's just freaking do this, dude. 2 weeks, let's go. So we were stuck in the car with this dude who was just very arrogant and very full of himself, and like that wasn't a good time.
Did you pay him at all?
Fuck no. Oh no, he didn't get paid for anything. And
That's
he was
fantastic.
like, it's cool. I just want to see the East Coast. And I'm like, whatever, dude. Live your life, bro. And he did like the majority of the driving. I think I drove like once. But every city we played in, he was trying his hardest to find someone to sleep with that night. Like whether he was on like Tinder, just swiping right on everybody, or hitting on girls that were at the shows, made it incredibly awkward. No one enjoyed his company. He was like just a dick. But I think the weirdest thing about that run was we were in New York City. I fucking hate New York City. I didn't know I hate New York City until that run. Casey, I don't even know where Casey went, but he was gone. Like we were at his aunt's house.
He just fucking dipped?
Yeah. We were at his aunt's house, who we told we were just going to stay there for one night, and then we were going to go to Massachusetts for our next show. Our Massachusetts and New Hampshire show dropped. So we had next 2 days, no shows. So we're like, well, what do we freaking do? Casey's like, oh, we can just stay at my aunt's house. It's fine. He didn't ask her. She wasn't okay with it. She hated us being in her house. So Casey, the day after the New York City show, Casey like went to go do some stuff to like get his college registration and like set up and whatnot, and just dipped and left us in his aunt's house, right? So we go and explore New York City, because this is what you do when you're in New York City. We were like in Brooklyn at the time, and we got on the subway into the city, and like the subway system is the most confusing freaking thing I've ever experienced.
They
in
have
New York
maps
City.
and colors and stuff,
dude,
right?
No, you can make it sound simplified like that, but it is difficult, dude. Have you been in New York City?
No.
Don't
I don't
go.
want to.
Don't go.
I'm
It
good.
was awful. So he was trying really hard to like impress people, and like was trying to do all these vlogs in Times Square.
The Mike dude.
Yeah, Mike. He bought like a bunch of flowers and was like handing them out to girls that he saw in Times Square, and telling
That's
them
not creepy.
telling them that it was his random act of kindness because he believes everyone deserves a smile. He was like an attractive dude, so like girls were like eating it up, right? And I'm like, dude, you gotta be fucking kidding me. Like, vomit in my mouth right now. Like, what the fuck is going on? So he's like vlogging all this and like getting all these girls' numbers and like just being a total tool, and I hated every minute of it. And we were in Times Square until like midnight, I think. And we were like, okay, like we need to get back now. We don't know when the subway is going to stop running. We need to get back. We ended up getting lost on the subway. I think like our train was delayed and we got on the wrong one and ended up in some random part of New York City, some bad part of New York City.
Yeah?
And like we're just trying to find our way back to Casey's aunt's house, and it was the worst thing I've ever done in my life. And that's why I will never play in New York City again. I have not been back since. I won't go.
Because you're not an adult and you don't know how
Because I'm
things
not an
work?
adult. Fuck that city, dude. I hate that city.
Sounds like you should have had an Uber.
Probably.
I mean, you had one person there with you. Where was his car? He could have just drove you everywhere.
Hey, man, I don't know. He wasn't about it, I guess. He just didn't do it. I don't know. So that was awful.
What a dick.
Yeah,
Okay.
he was a douche. And then to top it off, he freaking stole my iPod from my house. Like at that time, I had like a 130 gigabyte iPod.
128. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, whatever. Round up, dick. And it had like all my old music on it, like music that I've had.
Your old music, or like
music I've had
music
since
that you shouldn't listen to anymore.
That.
Okay.
More like that. And he like stole it and like pawned it for money so he could make it to Nashville.
What? It would have been $5.
I don't know how much he got off of it.
Ridiculous.
He denied it, but like he was the only one in my room. Like I let him crash in my room, and I just like slept upstairs, and like I woke up and he was gone, and my iPod was gone. So obviously it was you, dick.
So I think the moral of the story is that you don't listen to other people when they tell you that they're bad people. So the recording guy telling you that guy's gonna fuck you over.
True.
Casey saying this guy's a jerk. You're real good at this life thing.
Just making bad decisions, dude.
Yeah.
everywhere I go, just bad decisions. It's okay.
So how was the rest of that tour though?
It was cool. We didn't really have any like bad turnouts. We got paid every night. I think I left with like 150.
That's a win right there.
Yeah, I think I left with like 150. Like,
Profit?
Yeah. And it was cool because I didn't have any merch, so I was like just strictly doing it. Just
Selling your body?
Yeah, basically. Yeah, and that was cool. I did that. And then I think shortly after that, I booked a tour with the band Something More, which is like a Baltimore band. Baltimore pop punk band. And that one was really cool too. I think that was my first try at routing a tour myself, and I fucked it up real bad.
What happened?
I didn't take into consideration drive times for stuff. So like we had a 9-hour drive one time, and like they were down with it because we got to go to Florida, so that was cool. But like I probably should have made those drives a little bit shorter.
Right. I remember Shot Heard Around the World. They drove from Massachusetts just to play Maryland for me, and then drove back
Crazy.
to like
That's crazy.
New Hampshire or some nonsense. Or
surprisingly, it's only a 6-hour drive, like 6.5 hours.
Sure. To Boston, it was 13.
Oh,
So that's where they had to go.
yep. Never mind.
Yeah. So
Never mind.
I felt special. Like that was cool, but I also felt like they're dumb. Like they didn't figure out
They
how
didn't
to
make a
like
good decision.
route that stuff at all. No.
But I learned from it. That run was really cool.
Learn how to use
Something
maps.
More. Yeah. Something More are really good dudes. And I had a lot of fun with them on that run. Coincidentally, like every night we played at a venue, we somehow ended up playing Super Smash Brothers. Like every venue had Super Smash Brothers. And I don't know how that
Did
worked
you lose?
out. Yeah, they're really good at Super Smash Brothers. Like they're too good. Like they play it too much.
Like that's the only other thing that they do outside of a band.
Yeah, it was really weird. So like the people's houses we stayed at, they had Super Smash Brothers, and they ended up playing Super Smash Brothers together and getting their asses whooped. Like they would whoop the host's ass in Super Smash Brothers, and like
And
then
then
we
they
go
would
to a
get kicked
venue, play at it'd be a barcade, and we'd play Super Smash Brothers. Like it was just a very.
Did you book the tour? Or did they do? They
did.
booked the tour,
I did.
and it was just coincidentally.
Yeah, like
everything
every
that
night.
they wanted.
Every night. I actually saw Ned on that run. He was living in Florida at the time, and when we played Florida, he came out and he came to the show. He like drove 3 hours and surprised me, and it was like crazy. And I was like,
That's
dude, it's
cute.
crazy. You lost like a lot of weight, and you got like a fiance now. What the hell am I doing with my life?
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
realization that I'm fucking up. You know?
Yeah. He's an adult. We're not.
Yeah, he's like a full on adult.
I don't appreciate it.
Yeah,
Every time I
sucks.
look at him, I hate myself more and more.
No, I hear you.
So you did that tour. I mean, what's your next step? Like, what do you want to do?
Oh man, I have this like new job that's like an adult like job now. So like I don't.
So no Starbucks, no Target anymore.
Yeah, I quit Starbucks.
No
I quit
time
Target. Kind of. I have every weekend off, so I'm like kind of utilizing that as much as I can, by like just booking weekenders and whatnot. Like I just did one with a dude named Brian. He's from New Jersey. He plays in a band called Grin and Bear. I think you'd actually like really dig them. It's like kind of folky indie stuff. He was really good. We did Fredericksburg, Virginia.
Where'd you play there?
You know Tina DeSeta? She did
Yeah.
stand-ups. Her house.
Oh, nice.
She does
Okay.
house shows at her house now.
They have Fredericksburg all ages. I drove through Fredericksburg a month or so ago, just to kind of drive through it because I've never been there.
It's nice. Like it's a really cute town.
It's a cool little town. There's not much to it. I thought it was always bigger.
Yeah.
But
it just seems like it would be.
Because Casey's isn't a thing anymore. Casey's Back Alley or whatever it is, right?
No, yeah.
Because that's where all the metal shows were. So that's no longer a thing. I know they have the Fredericksburg All Ages, but it's a weird little venue. And then Tina's doing some stuff in our apartment house thing, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And that was really cool. There weren't that many people that came out. She felt really bad about it, but I was like, dude, like it's not a big deal. It's a Thursday night. Like it's
a house.
Yeah, it's like perfectly fine. I think she felt bad because like the last couple of times she's had shows at her house, like it's been packed out. So she was like, "Oh God, this is not what I wanted." And it's like, dude, it's okay.
Maybe they knew better.
Shut up, dude. I hate you. I wasn't stressed about it really. And then we played New Jersey, Manasquan, New Jersey. Our friend George's house. He plays in a band called Halogens. Sounds very similar to Tiger's Jaw. If Tiger's Jaw just had the male vocal. They're really sick. They're gonna blow up because they're doing like a lot of good things. But George's house is like always really fun. Like his house always gets a lot of people in there. I played like all new music and whatnot at his house, and that was really cool too. We were trying to get Philly, but that just didn't end up working out because Philly's like one of those places that's very hard to book unless you know someone that lives in Philadelphia.
Right.
And I don't know enough people. Like I don't keep in contact with enough people from Philly to like feel comfortable to like just reach out and be like, "Yo, can you like get me a show?" I don't want to feel like I'm like using people like that. So we did that. That one's done. And I have a weekender in February that I booked. I'm playing a house show in Towson. Like I'm just primarily doing house shows. I have a house show in Towson with my friend Ben. He's from New York. He plays in a band called Head North.
Yeah.
He drums in Head North, but he has a solo project called Marigold.
Cool.
And
okay.
he's starting to do more touring because I think Head North isn't really doing as much touring as they used to. So
are they about ready to record another album, or
I don't know.
Do you know?
I don't know yet. I asked Brent a couple of weeks ago like what that plan was. I think Brent said he's like kind of leaning more towards like recording bands now. So I'm not sure. I liked their last record.
Yeah,
I thought it was really good.
They were great live when I saw them. Them and Hodora blew me
Dude,
away when
yes,
I saw them. I'm
they
so glad
are
I listened
phenomenal.
to you. Yeah.
Phenomenal.
Their new record, I don't know how I feel about it.
Mm-hmm.
It's good. It's solid. That first one I really liked, and I just remember being blown away by the lead guitarist, and just he reminded me a little bit of what Matt did for you guys, where he just put that other extra layer in there and really just made it work. But yeah, they blew me away when I saw them. I'm glad I listened to you for once. For sure.
Yeah, I've met like a lot of really cool bands. Like Hodera definitely is like one of the bands that's like impressed me like the most out of like a lot of the bands that I've seen. Them and Head North. I really like the new Head North record. I think it's very different for what they had been doing, which was like primarily like pop punk stuff. But like, I like the new direction they took. I know like it's not everyone's like, it's not their thing, but for me, I thought it was very innovative and I thought it was really good. A Will Away, I think, put out my artist of the year, my album of the year last year. I love that band so much. Like I've driven literally 6 hours to Ohio to watch them play and then come back home. Like I've done it multiple times and will continue to do it. I support those dudes always.
I'll try and listen to them. I'll remember.
I think you'll appreciate it. If you listen to the album Here Again, I think you will appreciate like the structure of like all their music and whatnot. Also, Halogens already mentioned is like really good. There's a band that's like up and coming called Save Face. They're from New Jersey. I did a split with them. They're amazing too.
Cool. So what's one of the biggest things that you've learned about yourself playing in this band and actually like touring and and really like getting into it? Because you've been doing this for years, and My Heart, My Anchor is a pretty personal project.
Yeah. I think for a long time I was trying to write music for other people. Like I wanted to write music that I thought other people would enjoy. But I think just like the past like couple years, I've really gotten to a point where like I realize I'm not writing music for other people. I'm writing music that helps me cope with things that I go through and like help me get to a good mental space. I've had people come up to me and be like, why don't you write like happy songs? Like, you sound so much better if you like sang happy songs. Or like, oh dude, you should like play your Marvin's Room cover more, and like all this other shit. And it's like, dude, I'm so over that. I'm so over hearing that. I'm not doing it for other people. I'm doing it for me. Like, that's the biggest thing that I think I've like learned, is that like this project is like for me, to help me. Like, I'm not gonna fucking play Marvin's Room anymore. Like, it wasn't a mistake doing Marvin's Room. Like, that got me a lot of like listeners and shit. Like, and that was cool. It was a good idea. Like, that is like my most played song on Bandcamp. It has like 20,000 plays. Like, it's ridiculous.
Fully believe that, because it's a great little cover.
Yeah, but like it got to a point where like anytime I go to a show, people would be like, "Hey, you playing Marvin's Room tonight?" And like for a while I'd be like, "Yeah, sure. Like, why not?" But as I started to like make more music and like perform it, and then also have Marvin's Room in the set, I'd have people come up to me after the sets and be like, "Dude, your Marvin's Room cover, so sick. Great Marvin's Room cover." And I'm like, "All right, but that's not the only fucking song I played tonight." Like, did you not enjoy the rest of it?
Is that how it was with Dear Father too?
No. I think Dear Father was different. I think because I thought everyone's experienced loss.
Yeah.
And like dealing with loss is a very hard thing to do. So I think that people just found something very relatable about that song, and like found some way to like deal with their feelings on loss. I think like the weirdest thing, well, it wasn't weird. I was like really honored. A girl's parent had passed away. She wasn't like a friend of mine, but she was a friend of Robbie's, and like she like asked for an MP3 of Dear Father to play at the funeral because she like that song helped her. Like, that was probably like the most moving thing that's ever like happened to me for like anything I've ever written. But I've never felt that way about Dear Father as I have Marvin's Room. Like, Marvin's Room has just been like this just freaking like rain cloud above my head. It's like, I don't want to play Drake's song anymore. Like, it's cool for like a special occasion, like every once in a while, like if it's like a house show and like I'm chilling with some friends, they want to hear Marvin's Room, whatever. But if I'm playing like a bigger show, like, don't ask me to play fucking Marvin's Room, dude. When I played in New Jersey, this kid, I felt really bad about it afterwards, but like I was going to get ready to play, and this kid came up to me and he was like, "Dude, I'm really excited to see you play tonight." And I was like, "Oh, thanks, man." He's like, "You should totally play Marvin's Room." And I was like, and like not thinking, I was like, "Fuck that shit." And I just walked away. And I was like, in hindsight, I was like, "Oh shit, that was rude as fuck." So like, I like reached out on Twitter and was like, "Yo, I didn't mean to just randomly say fuck that shit. I just meant to say I've been writing new music that I'm really proud of, and I'd rather share that with you than Drake's music."
I mean, that's a probably much better way to put that in there.
Yeah.
Nah, man, get out of here.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah. So.
Well, I'm glad that you're doing it for yourself. It's kind of like about time that, I mean, from what I've heard, all your stuff, everything's been a personal record for you, and it looks to me like that is your release.
Yeah.
So that I mean, that's good that you finally realized that.
It's like I make a good front of like being sociable and talking to people in like public and social situations, but like I'm really not that way all the time. Especially within the last couple of years, I feel like I've really become like kind of closed off from people, so I keep to myself a lot more. So I feel like especially with like newer music that I have now, it's been my way of like kind of breaking out of that shell, but also still kind of maintaining my distance as well. It's like, you can get what you want from my music, like that's fine. Like, this is just like my outlet. Like all the new songs I've written is like just one concept of like just how like the end of 2017 was like just like the roughest year that I've had in like a long time, and like how I like sacrificed my mental health and like my physical health for other people, and realizing that's not okay, and like kind of just putting an end to like sacrificing all that stuff in 2017, like using 2018 to be better and like get better. So I'm like, I've written like an entire like an EP about that that I'm hoping it'll be cool if people like it, but at the same time, like, I don't really fucking care if they like it or not. Like, all the songs like mean something to me, and like that's like the most important thing. Like, I don't think there's any like filler on it, which is good.
So no Marvin's Room on that one.
Yeah, fuck Marvin's Room. I'm about to take that shit off the
internet.
internet.
No other Drake covers?
No. Not Drake, but I'm gonna do a Sista cover. And that's gonna be tight.
All right.
Yeah, but I'm not doing it under My Heart, My Anchor. I'm gonna partner with my friend Phil, who plays in the band Save Face. He's like really good at piano, and like he really loves Sissa too. So we're gonna record a cover of Broken Clocks, and we're just gonna put it on SoundCloud and become famous, whatever.
That's gonna be wonderful.
Cause I'm like really into Sissa and Frank Ocean right now. Like I'm really into both of them, so I'm like all about it. Like I want to cover Chanel. I want to do so many different R&B type things. Like, Mike, if you're still down to do the R&B project, like, I am 100% down for that. I've been talking to some people about some beats and whatnot. Like,
all right. So, with that being said, I mean, what keeps you going with everything?
I feel like what keeps me going, music is, like, the one thing that's been constant in my life, like, since I started playing it. Like, people come and go, like, all the time. Like friends, family, like lovers, like everything comes and goes, but music has always been there. Like I found like a very safe space in music, and like that I want to keep that close to me at all times. Like yeah, music is what I want, and like I feel like I like literally need music in my life. Like I can't not be doing music in some way. Like whether it's My Heart, My Anchor, or like the lives to come, like whatever it is, like I need to be doing something to express myself, and this is my way of like coping with life and expressing myself in a way that I didn't even know was possible until I started doing it. So
cool.
Yeah,
I think that's it.
Nice.
I'm good with that.
Hey.